Hey everyone, so today we're going to be setting up my Gibson Les Paul Classic that's been sat in storage for 10 years. It's had a clean, it's had a new set of strings on. I've waited about 15-16 hours for the neck to kind of bed back in. This may have been subject to moisture over the last 10 years, so we now definitely need to set it up again. We're going to do this setup in 4 main steps. First one is the nice and easy one. Make sure it's in tune. You've got to make sure it's in tune and then tune it up a few times just to make sure you're in tune and you have the correct stress applied to the neck. From there, we're going to do something that many guitarists are in fear of, me included. Well, not in fear of, just don't really get to this stage, which is, as you can see, I've got the truss rod cover off and I have my socket set here. We are going to be adjusting the truss rod. Now on most guitars this is an Allen key. On Gibsons you need an 8mm socket. So truss rod adjustment coming up. We are then also going to set the action at the bridge. My action actually looks pretty good already, but we're going to check it. We've got a few tips there to check through to see what we need to do. We're going to avoid a couple of other things such as checking the nut because I think it's going to be fine. Then we're going to do our intonation. So we're going to check to make sure that the guitar is in tune all the way up the fretboard. The pickup height was fine 10 years ago. I'm going to leave the pickup height. However, maybe in a future video, once I start playing it, I may look into that. Okay, so step 1, tune your guitar, that's done. Step 2 is the neck bow. Now, if your neck is bowed, if it's curved like this is, I'm actually I'll get some good footage of this neck curve now for you and compare it to another guitar of mine. If it's bowed, you want to be turning your truss rod clockwise to straighten the neck. If your neck's kind of curved backwards, you want to turn it anti-clockwise to pull it back. So again, if your neck is curved like a half pipe, then you want to turn your truss rod clockwise to pull it back straight. If it's the other way, anti-clockwise. Small turns, okay? 1/8 to 1/4 turns maximum, really 1/8 turns at a time. Check it, tune up, check it, tune up. You don't want to over crank your truss rod. Let's have a look at how these guitar necks are looking. So here you can see the Epiphone above and the Gibson down below. Now the Epiphone has a very straight neck. When I'm looking straight down the barrel, it looks almost completely straight actually, with an ever so slight bow, hardly noticeable. I don't know if you can see on the Gibson, maybe here you can. It does have a bow. That neck is curving upwards and that's going to have to be addressed. Again, not easy to see in the video, but when I'm looking straight down the barrel, it's evident. Hopefully you were able to see the difference there in neck bow between my Gibson Les Paul and my Epiphone Les Paul. The Epiphone setup has got a nice straight neck. The Gibson, as we know, not quite. So I'm going to now go ahead and I'm just going to do this sitting here really. Once you're on, just a 1/4 turn, nice and gentle, nothing extreme. I'm going to have a little play around. Here we go. I'm going to give it a little turn. It's nice and easy. There we go. I'm going to do this a few times. I'm going to look and then I'll show you the results. Now the before and after. I don't know if you can really see in the video, but the after is straighter. That's pretty much it. You can't see too much neck bow. I guess it wasn't too extreme, but I've adjusted the truss rod with about a 1/2 turn clockwise and it seems to have straightened it out just how I'd like. Okay, so we have adjusted the relief on the neck. The next step is the action. Now, this one is somewhat done by feel, for me anyway, but a quick kind of tip or a technique, what you can do is if you have a capo or hold down on the 1st fret, hold down on the final fret, so the 22nd of this guitar, and basically have a look to check that your string isn't touching your 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, kind of around that area, more around the 7th and 9th I'm looking at. Not just that it isn't touching, but you should have around about a credit card thickness, or about 3 Choey G old kind of, I guess, business cards. Either way, what I do sometimes is I slide them in. I'll just use one for now just to show you what I mean. I kind of slide one in around about the 7th fret, and I just basically then have a look by pressing down, and sometimes I move up to see it's held in. It's okay if I let go and it sort of slides out. So I know that it's lightly gripping the card. But to adjust this, you want to turn your saddle here. On a Les Paul, you've got your saddle. These turn to raise your bridge piece up or down. Obviously raising it up raises your action, moving it downwards lowers your action. And again, this is done by feel, but you don't want fret buzz. Typically I always check by bending around about the 7th, 8th or 9th fret, because that's typically where it can catch higher up. Or sometimes an open A, I can hear some buzz, which I'm not hearing now, which is good. Bar chords. Look, electric guitars are always, well, maybe not always, but from my experience, electric guitars experience a little bit of fret buzz sometimes. When you're plugged in, it's a little bit differently. You do want to avoid that, but just check with a few bar chords and see how it feels. All good. If it feels good to you and the action around about the, you know, the sort of 7th to 15th fret is low enough for you, that's where it would typically be solved from your neck relief, then I would say you're good to go on the next step. So I'm going to sit quietly now and just check each string, see if it's not too low. Sometimes this is a trial and error. You'll want to come back to this after thinking your setup. You'll play around for a bit. You might get some buzz, something might go unnoticed, but either way, you'll get there in the end. But the next step is probably the most important. This is the intonation. So on a Les Paul, you're going to want to have a look at your saddle here and where the string sits. You can see where each string sits, and if you go around to the back, which I think you're going to be able to see now, or if not, you can look at your guitar, you will have some screws at each saddle. You're going to want to use a tuner for this, and what you need to do is tune to the harmonic. So check the harmonic on the 12th string is in tune, and then compare it to the fretted note. So that's in tune. If that is either sharp or flat, you want to move this saddle backwards or forwards. So let's say you're in tune in the harmonic and then you are sharp, so say it was something like that. What you want to do is move your saddle backwards. If it was the opposite and then it was a little bit flat, you want to move your saddle forwards. This is an important step just to make sure, and it is a little bit fiddly when you've got all your strings on, because you kind of want to get in behind your guitar that's already restrung. Once you've done that step, your guitar is fully intonated. Now you're ready to go, you're ready to rock. Now there'd only be one more thing for me to do, and that's plug it in and start ripping some solos and going from there. A few final tips I would say is I've never had to adjust or replace a nut on the guitar. Pickup height is actually an interesting one. Like I said, I'm just going to leave this. My bridge pickup is pretty close to the strings. My neck pickup isn't. So I'm going to have a jam, I'm going to have a play, and if I need to adjust my pickup height, I'll make a video on it and I'll tell you what I've done. But in the meantime, keep rocking.